Good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk to you about the importance of co-production in developing an online training for primary care. And the aim of the project that we developed was to co-produce and evaluate a tailored ADHD online psychoeducation trainings for GPs and with GPs. And the reason we focused on GPs is because when it comes to ADHD or neurodiversity, the pathway to care in the UK tends to look like that. GPs do not diagnose or treat, but they refer to specialist services who do these and sometimes pick up treatment and medication subscription if a shared care agreement is in place. So they need to know enough to be able to identify in a practice and refer on. So we wanted to develop an online ADHD training with them and envelop GPs all the way through all the developmental steps of the training program. And this is what it looks like. This is the initial development. So at first we did systematic review and interviews with patients and GPs to try to identify what was the issue in terms of ADHD identification. And what we found is there was a lack of knowledge, a lack of training, there was a presence of very strong misconceptions, and a lack of clarity around the pathway to care. So then we did some workshops with over 20 GPs. We spent quite a lot of time and hours just developing. If we were to develop an ADHD training for GPs, what would it look like? Would it look, what format do they want, what content, and GPs really informed on, what would they want if we did such a training. So we developed then the content based on their feedback. They wanted a lot of videos, which we filmed with lots of different specialists, and the GPs reviewed the content and the final resource once it was developed as well. So we involved them every single step of the way to make sure that everything we did was acceptable. And why we developed this online psychoeducation program, because they preferred an online program. They wanted it to be short, under an hour. They wanted 2 different modules, one on understanding ADHD and one on the pathway to care and the role of the GP within that pathway to care. And they wanted a lot of interaction and videos from different specialists, which is what we included. We then moved on to the final stage, which was the evaluation of the training. And we started with a usability study with just a small group of GPs to make sure that it was acceptable, that it was useful, and that we didn't miss any important information that the GPs might want from this training. We then move on to a randomized control trial to try to further evaluate the efficacy of this training. And what we found, as you can see, we had over 225 GPs that were split between a control group where they didn't see the intervention and an intervention group where they took part in our online training. And what you can see is that T1 is at baseline before intervention, T2 is straight afterwards, and T3 is 2 weeks later. And you can see that the GPs really strongly, their knowledge increased, their misconception decreased, their lack of knowledge changed, and their self-rated confidence also strongly changed compared to the control group. And then we conducted interviews with GPs 6 months after taking part in the training, and what we found again is that their attitude and practice really changed after taking part in the training, and we really tried to address the gaps that we identified in the first stage. And for me, the take-home message from that is that the co-production aspect, the importance of having GPs involved all the way through the research project over the 4 years, really made a training program that was acceptable, that worked at increasing their knowledge, that worked in changing their attitude and changing their practice and reducing their misconception, which is what we really aim to address with the gaps that we identified initially. So Co-production is a very, very important aspect, and our training wouldn't have looked the same if it hadn't been for that. And I strongly recommend using it for any training that is being developed. If you'd like more information, please contact me on any of these, and I'd be happy to share any more details of this with you.